official opposition PDM is having its say on the agenda at a late morning press conference with responses to the PNP town hall meeting and reports from the House of Assembly debates. Let's take a look. The PDM says its questions and agitations in and outside of the House of Assembly are getting results for the people of the Turks and Caicos. In a press briefing at Greco Grill Friday morning, the three House members for the official opposition party talked about everything from bills under debate to bills to be passed, to untrue allegations, to lack of foresight, government spending, and near disasters. The Honorable Floyd Seymour, leader of the People's Democratic Movement, talked about their position on the Human Rights Commission and its need to be a neutral body.
Our position is and has been that there ought not be any political bias in the appointment of Human Rights Commission. We suggested that the commission be appointed in the same manner as the Public Service Commission, with the governor having one appointee, the premier and leader of the opposition having two appointments each, so as to depoliticize the functioning of the committee and to ensure that the committee is free from any political bias. The government could not ignore the sound logic of the opposition and made some amendments in the committee stage.
The Honorable Arthur Robinson says his pushing is accelerating the process for new roadways to come for the constituency of North Back Salina.
The member responsible for that particular area said that works had just started, which was in fact untrue, because I had just driven through the road, through that area just days before and after the parliamentary session, and there's no evidence of work being done. But he did commit to the fact that the works would be done shortly, that it would be graded, the roads would be graded and eventually paved in the months ahead.
The state of the nation's finances were among the 56 substantive questions levied to government members, and Honorable Doug Parnell clarified concerns about money spent on promotional functions. The PDM says over $400,000 were spent on the Fostering a Green Culture Conference. They say the government reported $300,000 was spent on the film festival. That spending on the Music and Cultural Festival was in the millions, and according to reports, the monies came from recurrent expenditure.
The question that that Honorable Robinson asked the Deputy Premier was, will the Honorable Deputy Premier be pleased to inform this House of the cost incurred by TCIG and quasi-government statutory bodies for hosting each of the following events? And to that, we asked about the film festival, the Zab Judo boxing match, and the environmental conference. And so the cost to the Turks and Caicos government was $250,000 for Zab Judo.
This is a problem, says Honorable Seymour, because the government is delinquent on bills, including, as he put it, making partial payments on the college tuition of TCI students abroad.
We spent about $250,000 on the Zab Judo boxing match, yet the government only had $200,000 in its own bank accounts, which has also led to phone bills not being paid and phones being turned off, or at least being restricted, access being restricted, where many government departments for weeks could only call one way. Students that were off to school that have had to have their tuition paid in portions where they couldn't have their entire tuition paid up front. Yet we can, and so we didn't have enough money to deal with those issues, but we can find money to deal with these, and in my mind it's a matter of prioritizing your financial responsibility.
There was also a call for the government to ban the operation of the Grand Turk to Salt Cay ferry, which reportedly this week was adrift and without the proper emergency kit.
While we sat in the House of Assembly meeting this week, the Salt Cay ferry went adrift for an hour and a half with passengers on board, both locals and visitors. What is more alarming is that on the boat there were no life vests available to those passengers.
There is more to come from this press conference, including why the PDM says the Foreign Affairs Committee is coming back to the Turks and Caicos, how taxi drivers are, in their view, being discriminated against, and what the PDM has to say to the government's rejection of the opposition's questions on scheduling of House of Assembly meetings and making a cruise line policy.